If you've ever believed the woods go quiet because they're kind, this will bend that belief. For campers sent me nights that snapped from cozy to wrong in a heartbeat, and every one ends the same way, with a run by headlamp around 2 a.m. I verified trail names, cross-checked weather, and clipped out names. The pattern you'll hear isn't monsters. It's smaller, closer things. A zipper that lifts when no one's hand is there. A voice that knows what to say and almost how to say it. A light where no light belongs. Wilderness feels empty until something notices you. Then the trees feel like walls. Two of us car camped off a forest road in Pisgah, North Carolina. Early May, the kind of shoulder season when campsites are yours for the taking if you don't mind a chill. We tucked the Subaru into a pull-out a quarter-mile past a gate and hiked 100 yards down a faint hunter's path, enough to hide our tent glow. We pitched an REI half-dome on a soft bed of pine duff, boiled ramen on a jet boil, and hung the ursack on a limb with a PCT pole. It was ordinary and perfect. At 10:40 p.m., frogs started. At 11:15, our fire went to coals. By midnight, I could hear the slow breath of my friend Ben through his sleeping bag across the tent. At 1:31 a.m., someone said his name from 30 feet away. It wasn't a shout. It was soft, like a friend trying not to wake the whole camp. Ben, from the treeline. Ben was in the tent, warm breath on the nylon. He didn't move. Neither did I. The voice said it again, identical, same air on the bee. I'm out there, you kidding me at Ben. He shook his head so slightly the bag's Phil whispered. Then, from the other side of the tent, the exact same Ben, same spacing, as if someone pressed play twice in two places. The zipper pull on our vestibule lifted a half-inch and settled. Every hair on my arms lifted with it. I clamped my hand over it from inside and felt the tiniest answering pressure from outside, like a fingertip testing whether fear or fabric was thinner. We didn't speak. We didn't cough. We just listened to our own chest sounds and the frogs and that soft human stillness you feel when someone stands on purpose. A small rock ticked off the fly. Then another, slower, higher arc, like practice. Ben mouthed truck? I nodded. We counted down from 3 with fingers, not breaths, and burst out the opposite vestibule in bare socks and headlamps on full. Light makes a wall, but it made a path too. We took it. Sticks snapped behind us at a pace too steady to be deer. On the forest road, my beam caught 3 bits of reflective tape tacked in a line on a sapling, trail markers. But there was no trail there, only brush. Someone had marked our hide for themselves. At the car, the side mirror was folded in toward the driver's window. I never fold it. On the windshield wiper, someone had tucked a bundle of twigs tied with orange surveyor's tape, the kind of marker utility crews use. We drove to the ranger station lot and slept there with the seats laid back, waking to any diesel at a distance. In the morning, a ranger told us our spot was known for visitors who set up string lines and tacks to night hunt hogs illegally. He shrugged like this was normal. They don't want company. I kept seeing that zipper lift like a finger asking a question it already knew the answer to. I soloed the Adirondacks that fall to remember what quiet felt like, and out and back to a lean-to near Pharaoh Lake with a cold front coming late. I hit the register at 4:10 p.m., reached the shelter by dusk, and hung my food with the PCT method from a hemlock. The lake was a black coin. My headlamp threw moths like slow snow. By 10, the wind knifed through the trees, then dropped off so hard you could hear bark stretch. Alone sounds different when the air stops moving. Every drip sounds placed there. At 1:47 a.m., a sound like radio static walked the trees to my right. Not wind. Not water on leaves. Static, moving. Then a man's voice said, "Hey," in that too casual way that wants you to say hey back. The lean-to roof made my beam a trapezoid. Beyond it, black trunks and the lake's edge. I said, "You good?" Because that's what you say when you hike in wild places. The static hissed closer. No headlamp. No throw of light at all. Hey, again, same pitch, same length, same lazy rise like someone was bored of the word. Something bumped my food line. The stick I'd used for leverage twitched, rotated, and the ursack sank 3 inches like weight had returned to it. I swung my lamp up, and the bark around the limb looked damp and fresh scarred where a blade had kissed it. My tagline had been nicked halfway through. I killed my light to see if any glow gave away a night vision device. 30 feet out, a red pinprick winked, low and then high, as if a small thing were moving between my eye and the trees. drone? It didn't hum. Static again, closer. A camera shutter ticked. 2 clicks like a cheap trail cam taking a burst. I did not hang a camera. The lean to crossbeam had nothing on it at dinner. Now, with my lamp on, a cheap trail camera the color of bark clung to a nail in the beam pointing at my bag. Its green LED blinked slow. Content. I said louder, "Who's there?" The same, "Hey," came back from my left where the lake path ran. The same, "Hey," followed from the right a beat later. Same voice. Same recording. That sameness is what scared me more than the words. I shoved stove, bag, and jacket into my pack without fitting shapes, slid into my boots unlaced, and shouldered out with the headlamp on low red so my night vision would forgive me. I didn't run at first. I listened. When I took 3 steps, something in the woods took 3, a half beat after me. When I stopped, it stopped. So I stopped stopping. The boardwalk over the wetland creaked at even intervals you could ride on a metronome. Step-y, step-y. Halfway across I killed my light again, and heard the static swell, and then fade like whoever held the mic was deciding. My heart beat hard enough to rattle the beam when I lit it again. I didn't look back. Parking lots at night are their own kind of wilderness, but the sight of my dusty Civic in the cone of a sodium lamp is the prettiest thing I have ever seen. At 3:02 a.m., I drove out past the register. In the mirror, the lake sat like a dark ear, listening for something to say hey back. I didn't. 3 of us ran a slow overnight stretch of the Lower Salmon in late August, 2 rafts and a borrowed aluminum canoe for the kid who swore he wouldn't flip. We made camp on a high sandbar cut with coyote tracks, miles from the takeout, no other firelight up or down river. We cooked foil packets over coals and watched satellites stitch the dark. By midnight the canyon had that bowl quiet where every drip from a paddle ferries across to the other wall and back like an echo that forgets to stop. At 1:42 a.m., a green line slid across our tent wall as clean as a level. I sat up fast enough to squeak the pad. The line swept back the other way, paused on the screen panel over my face, then lowered until it lit a single grain of sand near my heel like a star. Across the water a pale rectangle blinked on and off, high on the slope, not steady like a headlamp, but a flat wash, like someone had opened a door to a lit room and closed it again. "Yo," a voice called from upstream, low and casual. The canyon gave it back twice, but it wasn't an echo. The third yo came a half-second too late, a copy pasted wrong. The green point skated along the canoe and settled on the little flag on its line like it wanted to read it. The kid whispered a word I won't put here. We killed the tent light. The green dot went out. The pale rectangle appeared again, wider this time, steady for a count of 3, then gone. I could hear engines if I tried. Faints like a truck far away on a shelf road, but nothing near. Something clicked over the river like a camera shutter, and then again. The raft tube hissed a breath I thought was a leak until I put my hand to the valve and felt it tight. The hiss was mine. We didn't say the word drone until later, but that's what it was. A high, thin whine drifted overhead, then to the left, then the green point reappeared low, too low for a man on a ridge to cast it. It cut a diagonal across our dry bags, settled for a beat on the zipped seam, and moved on to the cooler latch as if it were checking a list. We rehearsed our plan without talking. Headlamps, life jackets, push. Launching at 2 a.m. in canyon current is stupid on paper and worse in practice, but staying felt like an answer to a question we hadn't asked. We counted on fingers. 3, 2, 1. The green point jumped as if surprised. We shoved the rafts, through bags, and slid into black water that grabbed at knees like cold hands. The current carried us out of the sandbar's eddy and into the main, smooth and strong beneath stars. Behind us, the pale rectangle on the slope flared hard and held, painting the sandbar white. For a beat you could see every print we had left and 3 others we had not. Boot treads heading to the tents and back, small and narrow, toes deep, heels light. The light clicked off. The whine lifted. The river took us around the bend where the canyon closed like a door. We tied to tamarisk at a long elbow half a mile down and sat in wet PFDs until the sky thinned gray. In the morning we rode back slow. The sandbar wore a tight grid of little holes around where our tent had been, as if something with feet like an office chair had sat down, taken notes, and gone. We didn't camp on sandbars after that. Trees can hide you. Open makes you lit. I grew up with forest in every window, so fear didn't follow me into trees until last spring in the Willamette National Forest. My girlfriend and I took the dog in a borrowed rooftop tent to a decommissioned logging spur that ended in a flat pad. We pulled in at dusk, did the ritual, food in the trunk, keys on a carabiner, bear spray by the door. Somewhere uphill, a barred owl called. Another answered. At 1:26 a.m., the dog went statue still. I lifted the flap. Moonlit forest, thin cloud lifted. A lantern glow bobbed down the spur in a smooth, steady rhythm. No crunch of boots. No engine. Just that quiet bob. Up, down, up, down. A soft clink chimed under us, regular as a drip. I put a hand to the ladder and felt tension I hadn't set. My headlamp on red showed a thin white line on the third rung, tied to a stake. Another line ran from our rear bumper to a sapling. A third looped our cooler handle. None of it had been there at 10. A voice said the dog's name in the exact tone my girlfriend uses. He trembled and reached his paws to my leg. From behind the car, another voice tried my name, soft and close, like a friend too tired to knock. Both were almost right, been a hair wrong on the last vowel. The zipper tab on the tent door ticked once under my fingers. I kept my hand there and felt a tiny answering pressure. On 3 we tore the lines by hand, kicked the ladder free, and dropped. We piled in. The key turned and did nothing. The dash stayed dark. Under the hood, a felt pad lay over the battery. Beneath it, a rubber wedge lifted the negative clamp just enough to break contact. I seated it, twisted hard, and the car woke. At the road, a chain lay across the exit that had been open at dusk. A narrow gap at the ditch's end left just enough room for a tire. We bumped through brush and didn't stop until we were under campground lights. Run when routine twitches. Headlamps on. Live to camp again tomorrow.